you can literally just ask AI to create a structured business folder for you. I'll make this a little bit bigger. I have a business brain folder, which has the memory of my business, the profile of my business. Every meeting I have gets synced into the folder, and it's all done with Markdown files because it's easier for AI agents to read. Then I have Deutsche OS, which is for this video, where I have all of the specs for my company in a folder. So everything that we're working on today, all of the specs that we created that explain how something works in the form of a Markdown file or in the form of a skill. So if you went through the skill process, it'll be a .skill file, but you can also ask Claude for the MD file as well. The MD file is just like the written text file. It's just a Markdown file. The skill is optimized to be used as a /skill command, but skills at the end of the day are just text, so you can create Markdown files with them. And you can have these files all in the one folder. Now, even though an AI can read these files super effectively, we aren't AI. We're humans and we learn in different ways. And the way that I find is best to use AI is to be able to visualize processes, because this is also the best way for me to be able to look at every single step of a process, for example, a deal process like this, and understand what is doing what. You can see all the purple links. So for the video engine, which is here, this is the deal engine. You can see Claude does the outlier scan, it pulls the transcripts, and then I have all of these ideas ranked, and then I just decide. So this yellow line here, my name's also in yellow, is where I need to step in and execute a process manually. So you could see what's AI and what's manual. So for every 5 AI tasks, there's 1 manual task. Then Claude gives me a bunch of title options. It designs the hook, and then I approve before it's recorded. So you can see all of the manual steps. It's the same with my deal process. Whenever there's a specific tool which isn't Claude or GPT, I will highlight it in green. So you can see Clay is one tool that we use for deals. If I'm using Notion, or if I'm using HubSpot, or if I'm using another tool, it will be highlighted in green. And I find this is better, even though the AI will understand a Markdown file. This is better for you. And at the end of the day, you need to oversee your processes. So you can actually have Claude on one screen, your processes on the other, and you can visually decide whether it's correct, and then you can get Claude to update the Markdown files. So how do you create this map? Well, it's simple. All you need to do for every spec that we just created before, let's use the deal engine as an example, you just need to drag it into the same co-work folder, or you can use Claude Code, it'll access the same folder. Then you want to paste in this prompt. It'll be available in the starter kit in the description below. This is the exact spec for the maps that I like, that I think work the best visually and also work based on my experience using them. And I'm creating maps for everything. So I'm just showing you a few sample maps today, but I literally have maps for everything. I have maps for my funnels. I have maps to tell me how to get out of bed in the morning, go from the bed, brush your teeth. No, I'm kidding. But you can literally do it for everything. Anything within reason, anything where you think an AI can impact, and pretty much that's anything that can be done on a computer. And as I said before, the point of creating the maps, which by the way, this one's generating in the background right now, is to also be able to see where you're using AI. So you could see that one task is broken down into a series of sub-steps. This is genuine IP that you can build for yourself in the business. The other thing it forces you to do is think more critically. It makes you, and AI can also help you with this, it makes you think, am I actually even conducting this process in the best way? If I'm onboarding a client for my agency, are we onboarding them in the right way? Could the design process be quicker? Could we have automatic email follow-ups? I do this regularly and I still find myself going, damn, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I automate this sooner? Why am I looking at meeting notes manually? It forces you to think about all these things, thus forcing you to become more AI native, which is literally the goal of this channel and should be a goal of all of us right now, because it's such a huge advantage to be a pioneer and to be on the front foot in a space that most people still honestly are not utilizing properly. So as you can see, and I use this on a new chat, by the way, using the prompt, it's created a brand new map. And if I click download and open, it's going to open it in Chrome and it's going to show me the exact process. Also, this is quite cool. It added the points where I need to review something. And if you hover over something, it shows you the other connections. It also shows you the exact steps on the right-hand side as well. Sorry if I'm covering it up a little bit. What you want to do is go back into Claude, and you want to make sure, if you're on Cowork, you can literally just ask it, make sure to add it to the folder. If you actually have an instruction though, in your folder, so in your business folder, memory.md, it will actually say something along the lines of, every time there's a new asset created, make sure it's logged in the right place. So then you don't actually need to do anything because the memory is already there. So now you have them created. Step 6 is to actually run them. So a fresh agent can execute the process for any task. Now, this obviously needs to be a separate video, or really I do this over time anyway, based on what topic it is. Because running a workflow, if it's a simple one, maybe content, you can run it alongside what you're doing. So you can use the / skill that you've created and you could be like, hey, run this workflow. And you can go through this entire process with the AI and work alongside it. You can also run loops. I did a dedicated video on a loop. If it's something that's a bit more automatic, a process might loop. If there's something that's a bit more manual, you can have manual triggers. So whenever I drop this file in this folder, it triggers the contract creation, this, and this. Now, obviously, depending on the task you're doing, the tool might change. So you might want to consider running Claude code on an automatic schedule to do stuff on your behalf. You might want to consider getting a separate Mac Mini so it's always on, so you don't have to use dispatch on the go. You may even consider using a Hermes agent just to make the process, especially if you're not as AI native, a little bit more frictionless because it's got its own inbuilt memory. There are many ways to go about step 6, but the main thing is that you complete the first 5 steps so you actually have the data to feed the AI, because automating becomes easy. You can find workarounds for that once you have this. Once you have broken down a process into a series of steps, it's really as simple as giving it to Claude Code and saying, hey, start on this. And obviously there's adaptation over time. It's going to screw up. It's going to, hallucinate. There's going to be errors. There's going to be things which aren't optimal. It's going to give you bad outputs. This is where training comes in, and you always just want to update your skills. At the end of every session, even today, like I was, updating the way that these visuals look for the video. I think this is the single most important thing you can do for your business. Break down your business into a variety of workflows, organize them in a filing system, and then update these skills and workflows over time. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.